Hello and welcome to the Goal Link Show. My name is Ben Harris. I'm the founder of Goal Link, a goal-setting community sharing weekly challenges. These challenges are inspired by brands to bring you new ways to develop and improve yourself. You can kick back and watch me take on these exciting and uncomfortable challenges, or you can join me. I challenge every single listener to complete these weekly goals. Catch the content every Sunday on Instagram or Facebook at Goal Link Group. The Goal Link Show, this podcast recounts experiences from the achievers of the world, but not just the success. We delve into the challenges and the struggle we all face. How do we find the will to push through? What role do motivation, discipline, failure, and goals play in our lives? We discuss this and much more on the show. Thanks for tuning in. On this episode, I sit down with Matthew, who, after our conversation, I'm even more impressed than I was before with him. The dude is a goal machine. He puts me to shame, but we talk a lot about a lot of cool things with him, about how he learned how to set these weekly goals, how the role of an accountability partners, how it really sets him apart, how he faces challenges or letting himself down with goals. If he misses a day, how does he feel? What does he do? He has a really good mindset, and we discuss that in the show, so keep tuning in. Everyone, welcome to the Goal Link Show. We got our man Matthew here. What's up, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. Glad to be here.
Dude, I can tell by your energy that you were glad to be here.
Totally.
So thank you. So Matthew and I, we actually, back in the day, our bands played music together, which was super cool. So I was in a rap group, and his band was, what would you describe it as?
I think we used to call ourselves indie synth meets indie rock.
Okay, cool. Well, regardless, it was cool, and these guys are super young. We're all super young, I guess, but these guys were in high school killing it, and we were in college, but it was super, super fun, and we played some awesome shows together, some sold-out shows, and great energy. And why I'm having him on the show right now is because when I first sent out this Goal Link thing and for early adopters to jump on and provide feedback early in the process, he responded quickly and was like, dude, I love this idea. And we talked, and then he's now really the only person that I knew that really practiced weekly goals and like an accountability partner.
Yeah.
So for real, you were the only person that I knew prior to do this. So props to you for you were even earlier than I was. And so first tell us, how did you first come across weekly goals?
So I feel like I've always been a pretty goal-oriented person. But I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, and there I met one of my last companions. We just kind of clicked, and our favorite thing to do together was honestly just like make goals and destroy them.
Which is, I think, weird for most people, but I love it.
Yeah. And so we would set goals for everything. We'd set goals for exercise. We'd set goals for how many people we were going to talk to. We'd set goals for how we were going to like get to know each other better, how we were going to, literally everything under the sun. And so we did that. And when we got home, I was like, why should I stop progressing at such a fast rate? Because I feel like goals are how you really become who you need to be. And so we decided to just keep calling each other once a week. We'd tell each other our goals, and then we would follow up the next week and then tell them what our goals were for the next week and just keep progressing. And sometimes, midweek, I'd be like, dude, I've been slacking, like, give me some energy. And then we'd call and talk, and we'd really just vibe off of each other, because I feel like everyone has a down week. Everyone has a down day. But I feel like if you always have someone to push you, then it helps you continue on your goals. Because a lot of time, you always hear the joke of like everyone sets a exercise goal for the new year, and then by February the gyms are empty.
Yep, it's true.
And so I didn't want that to be me. And so now that I'm married, I use my wife to make sure I'm using my goals. And then I still talk to my friend Dakota. We still call every week and just ask each other about life and how we're progressing and what the goals are.
That's super cool. So, and I know, so we live in Utah, and you said he lives in Boston?
Yeah, he lives in Boston.
That's cool. I think that's super cool that you and your wife do that too. What So do you guys call each other on Sundays? Is that right?
Yeah, either Saturday or Sunday. We kind of just will be like, hey, what's your week like? And then, oh, this is when I'm free. Or
And then how do you keep track of your goals? Do you write them down? You keep them on your phone? What's
yeah,
that look like?
so I have a a goal journal, and then I also have a goal Google sheet with my wife for our I guess I could say companionship goals because we're a companionship.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome.
And then I also have an app that I really like. And so what I try and do is I do big goals, and then I have all the little pieces that help me hit those goals, whether it's being more creative or all that. And then I have an app. It's called Way to Life. This isn't advertising for it, but it's great. It's free. And so you can track everything that you want to get done on the app.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to look at it right now.
And then you just fill it in
As
as you
we're
go. I've
doing
been
this.
slacking this week on actually filling it in because I've had a lot of organic chemistry tests. But you just pretty much fill it in as you
Okay,
go,
cool.
and it tracks, what you're doing and how many days you've done it in the year.
And then you just like click a box.
Yeah, so you'll click the box and you either say like, yes, I did it, or no. And then if you do a no, it takes away your streaks. You get like streaks if you've done it for longer than like 6 days, and it's like this big green box. And
Okay,
so I like
cool.
that too, because at the end of the year, you can see how many days you actually did. Like if you want a daily exercise, then at the end of the year, it'll say like, oh, you exercised 270 times out of 365. And I'm like, okay, what could I do next year to make it 300 or 3, whatever you want to do.
Okay, that's dope. So one of my friends actually, when Goaling first launched, he sent me an article about how goals are bad. Have you ever talked to someone about how setting goals like this is a negative thing?
I haven't. I find that surprising.
So I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
So what it is basically is that because you're setting such a specific goal, you are living in a constant state of failure until you hit that goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this person's argument in the article is that, yeah, just what I mentioned is that until you hit that one thing, so let's say lose 10 pounds, even when you lose 9 pounds, you're still living in a state of failure. And so I thought that was interesting, but I feel like it's finding that harmony and balance where you don't have to feel like crap. Like it's the process, but the goal is what gets you going. And like the weekly goal is like what you mentioned of having a bigger goal and then breaking it down into smaller, realistic, easy, achievable things. So you're not living in a constant state of failure, as this person would say. So you're constantly feeling like you're progressing and moving forward to that bigger thing.
Yeah, I would say the exact thing like you did. I think success builds on success.
Yeah.
And so I think the reason setting goals, if you look at it the right way, I feel like it doesn't make you feel like you're failing, because maybe, yeah, like you said, maybe your goal is lose 10 pounds. And so maybe the little goal, say it's January 1st, you want to lose 10 pounds by the end of the year. Maybe your little goal for that week, maybe it's not exercise 5 times the first week. Maybe it's going to walk twice. And then the second week, maybe it's go to walk every day. And then, my goal for the third week is buy a gym pass, so I'll actually go to the gym. And then all of a sudden you look back and you've completed all these little things.
Yes, I love
which
it.
then create energy, create success. And then I feel like for me, for example, when I'm exercising, I eat 1,000 times more healthy.
It's true.
Because all of a sudden when I go to eat a candy bar, I'm like, I just worked my butt off. I don't want to ruin my workout, or I don't want to ruin what the hard work I've done. And so they build off of each other. For me, eating healthy and exercising go hand in hand. When I'm not exercising, I'm totally okay to eat 25 cookies. Like, I love it. It tastes good. It makes me feel good. But then after, I feel terrible. And I'm like, dang, that was a lot of cookies. But I think in general, yeah, you can look at every day as a failure, or you can look at every day you did a little thing to add to success. And I think that's the more healthy way of looking at it, because I feel like there's enough in the life that kind of pushes you down everything, health problems, family problems. And so why not have little things that build you up every day to make you feel like you're making a difference in your own life?
Yeah, I love that. Again, looking at the little things, just one thing a day. Really, you can look at it the same thing. I thought about this yesterday. I was looking how much interest that I have that I've gained on my savings account, which is nothing basically.
Yeah.
But it's $250 this year that I've earned. And then I was like, okay, if I don't put in another dollar, how much would I have in 20 years?
Gotcha.
and I think it was $7,000.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So $7,000 more dollars, right?
Yeah.
But if I put in $1 just once a day, just $1 every day, so $30 a month, that equals $10,000 more dollars.
Dang.
So 17,000, I think, something like that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So I think it's a good metaphor where stop looking at, oh, I'm at $250, and look at what am I going to be. Again, these numbers are relative. You can plug any number in that you want. 10,000 could be a lot, or it could be absolutely nothing based on what financial situation you're in. But I think that analogy of putting in just $1 every day, those small things, and they stack up and they compound on each other.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
I'm glad you concur, sir. So what challenges have you experienced setting goals? Like, do you ever get down on yourself or feel like, man, I'm not doing as well? Like you kind of mentioned when you were showing me your goal sheet on your phone about you've been slacking this week. So do you ever get down on yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the other day I'd realized it's probably been like a couple weeks. So I speak Mandarin Chinese, and then I speak fluent a language called Malay. And it's been a while since I've been like keeping up on those, and so I was like, dang, I don't want to lose those language skills because I already worked so hard to get them. And so I was like, oh man, I that's terrible. I have this gift, like I have a gift. I'm good at learning languages. I should be practicing it. And it's easy to get down, but then all of a sudden I'm like, it's okay. And I just feel like what I do is I just hit a restart button, and I'm like, okay, today's day one again. Let's set a goal and just, the past is the past, set a goal today and then move forward. And then I just plan. So I do daily and weekly planning for the most part. Obviously I'm not perfect at it, and then I just kind of throw those in there. But it's definitely easy, especially I feel like if you spread yourself thin, if you have like 50 goals, it can get really easy to keep up on them. And then you can really start just like snowballing into being like, man, I can't complete any of these. I have too much to do. And so that's why I think planning is important, because it helps you divide your day equally. So you don't have to, like do one thing for hours. You could just do it 10 minutes a day. Like we've said on everything, the little things build up. And so I think it's easy to get down on yourself, but if you plan well, then you avoid getting behind or getting down on yourself because you haven't been doing anything.
Okay, cool. So you've been home about 2 years, is that right?
Yeah.
So what's setting these weekly goals and having your accountability partner? You said his name's Dakota.
Yeah.
Shout out Dakota.
Yeah.
Dude. Hope you're hearing this. I hear good things about you.
Yep. Dakota Pierce. He's MIT basketball. He's a genius. So good times.
Yeah, if he's an MIT dude, that's
yeah.
legit.
Yeah.
What's been the coolest thing that you've looked back on that you wouldn't have thought that you'd have accomplished so far?
There's a few. This might sound silly. This might sound silly, but like I had a goal to meet someone that was like amazing and then marry them. And there were so many times I'd go on dates or things and I just didn't feel like it was the one, but then I was like, am I being too picky? Like I had this idea, this goal in my mind of like, this is who I want to marry. And I just like, I didn't give up on it, but for a while there was honestly like 6 months. Not that like I was trying to get married quick, but I just was like, I didn't want to like, this sounds rude, but like waste my time with like people that
it's not rude, dude.
That didn't see my future. Yeah. But, and then like one of my favorite, we would talk about it like dating and stuff. Just cause it was on our minds. We're, boys, we talk about girls, all that jazz. But then finally, like I met my wife, who's my wife now, Mackenzie, and all of a sudden it just like clicked. And so like talking with him, and he'd always be like, no, man, like you have an idea of who you want to marry. Like, don't give up on that. Don't give up on that. Cause everybody like, dude, I think I'm too picky. And he's like, no, dude, just keep with it. And then it worked out. Also like him and I are writing a book right now. Just kind of like preparing people that are, that want to serve missions. Cause you go out there and it kind of shocks you. And so it's kind of like to prepare them. We'll see what we actually do with that. And also just like fitness. I feel like before my mission, I was like healthy and stuff, but I never worked out that much. And then, I mean, I'm not that fit right now because I just had surgery, but like I did get to a point where I could look at it. I was like, wow, I've gotten like a ton stronger. And then just like personal characteristics, like being more kind, serving more.
How do you set goals for being more kind?
You can do anything. I feel like even just like, okay, I'm going to smile at one random person today, or I'm going to talk to one person I've never talked to. And then like I'm at the University of Utah. I go sit next to a random person at the library. I'm like, hey, what's your name?
Good for you, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And then, so it sounds like you kind of switch it up, and I'm also curious, were you setting like daily or weekly goals for dating, or was it just like a big vision that you had of, I want my wife to be this special, amazing person, and then it was more just of a feeling?
I don't know. I definitely like, I wouldn't say I had goals for like, I did have goals for dating. Like I would try and get out. I really enjoy just meeting new people.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, dating is almost just like meeting new people that you can like enrich your life, maybe learn something from them. And so I would try and go on, I wouldn't like put a number on it, but I'd be like, did I like go on enough dates this week, or not this week? I was too busy for that. Like this month,
one day a week.
Yeah, no, I couldn't handle that. I don't have the time or the money for that. That's expensive. But overall, it was one of the goals. I feel like you might not have daily goals, but you have the idea there, and then you just like when you're out on dates or anything like that, you had that goal, that idea in the back of your head, and then when you're getting to know these people, you're like, I don't know if that fits or things like that. But I feel like it shapes your actions and kind of how you move forward when you have those overarching ideas. But then for other things, you can have the daily and little goals.
Okay, cool. What would your advice be to anyone who's not setting weekly goals right now? Like, what would your advice be to how to start, and then why should they do it?
Okay. I think the number one thing is you got to expect success. I think if you go into your goals being like, I'll probably fail, you're going to fail for sure. Like you have to expect success. That I'd say that's like 70% of hitting goals is you're like, I'm going to hit this goal, and you have energy, you have drive. And then I would say start out with some easy things so you can kind of get in the role of it, and set aside specific time for planning. Like, okay, I'm going to plan. If you know that lunch is your freest hour to think, then plan at 12 o'clock while you're eating lunch and just think about the day tomorrow. Plan out some time of when you want to do what goals. And I would just evaluate what things you actually want to progress in. If exercise isn't a big deal, then you don't set some exercise goals yet, because then you'll just fail and then you'll feel bad. So
that's good advice too. Like really make sure that it's something that you care about instead of just wishing that it would happen, I guess.
Yeah. And I think the biggest reason I do planning and setting goals is, number one, I think it actually like frees me a little bit more, because all of a sudden, I do things when I say I'm going to do them, and then I have all this time at the end of the day to do whatever I want, hang out with my wife or go to a movie or all this, because I've planned well. And then and then when you execute, you look back and you're like, well, you just feel fulfilled. It's super I fall asleep in 5 minutes every night now, because I feel like I've used my day well, and I honestly think that helps me just like fall asleep happy.
That's cool. So did you used to struggle falling asleep or anything?
Yeah. I would lay in bed for like honestly 30 minutes to an hour. And I just couldn't fall asleep. But as soon as I really felt like I was using my day well, I was like mentally tired, because I feel like I used to lay in bed and think about all these things I should have done during the day, or think about what I have to do tomorrow, or think about the future. But I feel like when you're completing your goals, it just helps you feel full. And then, I don't know, you just can live day to day, and you don't have to worry about so much, because you know that the goals you're setting are helping you hit what you want in the future.
Okay, dope. You mentioned you're writing a book, which I think is awesome. And I think how you do that, right, is you write X pages per day or per week. Is that how you hold each other accountable?
Yeah. We set a goal, like we actually just like, so it was like, we like started it, and then we're like, I don't know if this is going to work. So we like laid it aside, because neither of us had the energy or drive to do it. Yeah. And then one day we just like, we're talking, we're like, let's do this. Like, this will be sweet. If anything, it's just like a place to put all our memories in. And so we were like, we have to finish by like October 15th. And this was like August. Okay. And so what we did is we split up each chapter that we had an idea for. And every single day we would each work on it for 30 minutes. And it wasn't like you had to finish X pages, but you worked on it for 30 minutes. And by October 15th, we had finished the first rough draft and sent it out, and are getting feedback from people and stuff like that.
Dude, that's awesome. That's super cool. What's your big goal right now, like down the road, that you must accomplish?
For the book or just in general?
Yeah, in general, not for the book.
Biggest goal right now is getting a good score on the MCAT. So I start studying in January. I have a schedule laid out tentatively right now, and then as it gets closer, I'll kind of lay it in place because that's kind of like what projects my future is that score. I have pretty much everything else I need for medical school, but if I get a really good score on that, that'll really open a lot of doors for me. So I think my number one goal right now is probably do well in school and get a good score on the MCAT so I can be a doctor.
Yeah, that's dope, dude. Good for you. So what do you study X minutes per day or anything?
Yeah, so there's like certain amount of sections in the MCAT that you have to know, whether it's biochemistry, organic chemistry, biology, reasoning, and critical thinking. And so what I'm going to do is on Mondays and Fridays, so every other week I'll take a practice test on a Friday, and then on Mondays and Fridays on those other weeks I'll split the sections into two, and so every other week I'll study certain things, and I'm setting aside like 4 hours on Monday and Friday, so it's like 2 hours per section for 6 months.
Okay, dang, dude, you're impressing me, man. You're killing the goal game. All right, so we're gonna come to the section of the podcast where I call it "Scroll My Soul," which is kind of silly, but what that means is I write down ideas on my phone every day or every other day. And so I randomly scroll through and I pick a thought, and then I ask you to just reflect on it or how it resonates with you. Cool?
Cool.
So today's thought is what I wrote down. We'll be judged no matter what we do. Whether you go after dreams or just lay in your bed all day, we will be judged. So we will be judged no matter what we do. How does that resonate with you?
Man, I think that resonates in a way of like, at the end of our life, not only will we look back and see what we've done with it, so we'll be judging ourselves, but like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of times at the end of life, it's not even about like, I mean, sometimes people will be like, oh, they were super successful or this, but I feel like a lot of times when you really get down to it, they talk about, was he a good person? Did they love their family? Did they go the extra mile for helping those around them? And I feel like possessions and things like that, they are nice, but I feel like one of the only reasons we really work for money is for happiness. And I feel like the biggest thing that we can do is set ourselves up to have the most happiness possible. And I feel like a way of doing that is being kind to others, to serve, believing in a higher power. And for me, works. I feel like it helps me push better. And I think it also is like, well, you'll be judged on your works, whether you do good things or bad things. But I feel like at the end of your life, everyone will look back and say, what did I do with the 80 years that I was given? What did I do with the 70 years I was given? And, it would kind of stink. The iPhone just came out with like, it tells you how much screen time you have. Yeah. And I remember the first week I averaged like some crazy hour or something on Facebook a day, and I was like, that's horrible.
What was it? Do you remember?
No, I don't. I honestly think it was like an hour a day on Facebook, because and I was just like, I don't need to spend an hour like scrolling Facebook a day. Like for that was enough shocking. So I can't imagine like looking back, if they counted up your hours, like you watched TV or you laid in bed, like how would you judge yourself on that? Like, oh, I spent 1 year and 3 months of TV of my life. Like think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I wish I had this stat. I don't remember it, and maybe after the show I'll look it up and mention it, but that's cool. I like thinking about it of like the screen time app, but like at the end of your life, like it would add up to years.
Yeah.
Possibly decades.
Honestly.
So that's cool. I like that perspective. I'll put another one on it. Like I like how you, at the end of your life, how I resonate it is right now in the present. Cool. No matter what you do, you'll be judged. Like if you go to school to be a doctor, which you're doing, you'll be judged. Like, or if you decided to just freaking chill and not do a thing or do something completely different, you'll be judged. You can't make everyone happy, so really just worry about yourself.
Oh, 100%.
And kind of what you mentioned about like set yourself up for the most happiness. Man, just whatever like makes you happy, like just do what makes you feel good. All right, awesome, dude. Well, do you have any last advice or tips or last thoughts for the peeps out there?
Find someone that is hungry for success and make them your accountability partner and change the world.
Yeah, dude. For real though, like on that topic, not many people are doing this. And there's some people listening who won't do it, and there's some people who will. But I promise you, if you want to reach another level of not just productivity, but fulfillment and whatever you want to do out there, it doesn't matter what it is, an accountability partner and setting these type of goals will really take you to a next level, I promise.
Yeah, 100% agree.
All right, sir. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm excited to see the future.
Hey, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode with Matthew, a.k.a. the Goal Slayer. That's what I'm gonna call him now. Anyway, this week's challenge is inspired by Open Gym. It's a newly released app. You should check it out on Instagram or just Google it at Open Gym. These are bodyweight workouts that are appropriate for any fitness level, your age, your situation. It's super simple, 20-minute bodyweight workouts. I love the idea. So your challenge this week is to do 2 bodyweight workouts. They're only 20 minutes. So this week, just 2 bodyweight workouts. And 20 minutes is only 1.3% of your day. I can't think of any excuses you could be using right now. So use 1.3% of your day to do one of these bodyweight workouts and do 2 of them. And once you complete this challenge, there are a few ways you can report back. You can post on Facebook or Instagram using Goal League Challenge. Comment on this episode-specific post on Facebook or Instagram. Send us a private message or use the Goal League hotline. To use the hotline, call 385-626-0525 and follow the instructions. Thank you again for listening. I really appreciate it. My name is Ben. This has been The Goal League Show.